Podcast Answer Man, episode number 264.
Entertaining, educational, and encouraging content that makes a difference.
This is GSPN.TV.
Join the community.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Answer Man. This, my friends, is the podcast about podcasting, helping you take your show to the next level. It doesn't matter if you're a brand new podcaster, if you have been podcasting for many years, or you haven't quite yet released that first episode. There's something we can all do to take our show to that next level. That's right, my friends, and I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Podcast Answer Man. Today, I have a full show once again, and I'm very excited to tell you that we're going to be bringing my great friend and social media correspondent for GSPN.TV, Eric J. Fisher, here in live this week to talk about something going on with Facebook, and also he's going to join me in talking a little bit about how to take your BlogWorld and New Media Expo, or now the New Media Expo conference experience, to the next level. But before we get into that, we want to start off with what I like to do, called the Random Plug of the Week. And this week, my friends, I want to highlight another podcast mastermind member who is creating a brand, I think, that is intended to make a positive difference in people's lives, which, by the way, is my favorite category of podcasting. And technically, it could be in very many different categories, but certainly he has a unique brand that stands out, and it's called 168 Opportunities. That's the name of his brand. You can find it at 168opportunities.com. And the person behind this is Peter Adal. And basically, if the podcast description on his blog says that, did you know that we all have 168 hours every single week? And Peter says that he likes to think of these as 168 opportunities to maximize our life. There are things that we can all do to improve ourselves and to make the most of every opportunity. I should probably learn how to speak on a Thursday morning. You think after taking a week off you wouldn't forget everything, but I guess it's all new to me. Anyway, that's what his podcast is all about. It's basically making the most of every opportunity. 168 of them every week. You can check out Peter's podcast over at 168opportunities.com. And by the way, congratulations to Peter. He just became a dad for the very first time this past week, and I'm so happy for him. He's got a little baby boy, and I think it's episode number 15 where he took a little bit of a different format approach to his show just to talk about the new opportunities that he's been kind of realizing as a dad now. And very cool guy, very cool brand, and I'm looking forward to see where he goes on his journey. And if you happen to check out 168 Opportunities and you like it, please tell Peter that you heard about him from the Podcast Answer Man. And now, my friends, it is time to turn it over to our social media correspondent, Eric J. Fisher. Eric, how's it going this week?
Going great.
So, hey, you have been standing by live. We are going to be talking about something that's crazy happening over there at Facebook. They're charging us they're charging us cold hard cash to reach the people who have already said, Cliff, I want to hear from you.
Yeah, well, that's one way to put it.
So what's this thing? First of all, what's it called? Is it called paid to promote or something like that?
It's called promoted posts.
Okay, promoted posts. Tell me a little bit about this thing.
Okay, what a page can do now is when they go to post, they'll see a little checkbox, not checkbox, like a drill down box that they can click, and it says promote. And then what they can do is, for a certain amount of money, which works very much like Facebook ads, where when people click on or see your posts, basically, you are then charged, and you can set a budgetary limit on that. And what this does is this is an augmentation or a boost to that post's particular EdgeRank.
Nice. All right. Well, we're going to have you talk about EdgeRank and boost to EdgeRank in just a moment because you're going to refer back to a previous episode. Before you do, I want to play the audio from the video. It's only 90 seconds long here from Facebook to kind of get their explanation about what's going on. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Miriam, and I'm here to talk to you about promoted posts. When you post on your page, it currently may only reach a limited number of the people who like your page each week. Promoted posts help increase the people you reach for any eligible post. It's an easy and fast way to reach more of the people who like your page and their friends. People will currently see your promoted posts as a sponsored story in their newsfeed on desktop or mobile. When people like, comment, share, their friends will see the post too. Here's how to promote your post. Choose solid content. When you promote a post from your page, it's seen by more people than a regular post is, so you'll want the content to be really strong. Simply post on your page and select the Promote button. Select a price that best fits your budget and goals. When you promote a post, it'll appear in the newsfeed of the people who like your page and be labeled as sponsored. You can promote any post as you're creating it, or you can promote a recent post that's already live on your page. Any post that's less than 3 days old can be promoted. Once you promote a post, it can be paused and resumed anytime. For best results, we recommend you pin your promoted post to the top of your page's timeline. Thanks for taking the time to learn more about promoted posts. To learn more about this feature, visit facebook.com/help/promote.
In other words, go and talk to the mob bosses who are holding your posts hostage.
Yes, Facebook is the gangster. Yes,
that's
right.
what it sounds like to me. It's like, dude, these people that we know that they're connected to you. You worked months, maybe years, getting all these people to quote unquote like your brand. So that they are technically saying, I want to subscribe to the updates that come out from this brand. I want to know what's going on. If they post something, I want to be notified. And all of a sudden you're out there, you've said, you know what, come here because I'm going to be giving you great, valuable content. And I'm going to make sure that it's amazing and of value and things that are related to the brand that we represent here. And Facebook is saying, you know what, that's all great, but why don't you pay us a little bit more money and maybe we'll let you send that out to a few more people. And they're still not even promising if you promote the darn thing that it's going to go to everybody who liked you. I'm going to just use the word subscribed to your brand, okay? Because that technically, when I like you on your Facebook page, I am subscribing to your updates. And somewhere down the line, Facebook determined that, you know what, I'm sorry, there's just too much traffic going on here and we don't want to overwhelm people. So, you know what, we know that you subscribe to Eric Fisher's, page, but we're only going to give you a few of his posts, and you may or may not see any of them, depending on just how busy you are subscribing to other people's stuff. Could you imagine if Google Reader, you go in and you subscribe to people's RSS feeds, and just periodically Google Reader says, nope, sorry, I'm only going to give you 1/20th of the things that you have subscribed to because we don't want you to spend too much time here reading all of this stuff. It's too much information. Let us only send you, things based upon our computerized algorithm. And you know what? I'll tell you what, if it's really, really important, how about all those blog owners, those people who are writing those blogs, how about they pay us, Google, to actually send you content if it's that valuable? That's what it sounds like to me. It very well could sound like that. However, it's not exactly that way. I want to see if you could potentially convince me otherwise.
For some people, this is going to sound like I'm playing devil's advocate, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. And basically, what you need to do, if you've not, I'm going to summarize, but if you'd like a much more further in-depth talk about Facebook EdgeRank, you need to go back to Podcast Answer Man episode 247, where we talk about Facebook EdgeRank and how that works.
Which, by the way, is at podcastanswerman.com/247.
Right.
Okay.
Now, EdgeRank is made up of three. When we talk about EdgeRank, let me first clarify. EdgeRank has to do with the Facebook's news feed, and much like Google, there is a certain amount of Facebook news feed optimization that can happen. There are factors involved to basically it's Facebook news feed SEO. Okay. And when it comes down to it, there are three factors that are involved: affinity, interaction, and time. And how affinity works is it's the relationship between the content creator and the user. Interaction is how many comments, likes, shares that the piece of content has gotten. And timeliness is just that. How long ago has this been posted? Okay?
Right.
So each piece of content has to come up against those three factors in order to really be seen as a top news story, or be seen at all really in average Facebook user's news feed. And so to talk to the statement you made about how when I go like somebody's page, I'm subscribing to their wonderful, awesome, life-changing content, that may be true, but if when they've posted stuff, I've never clicked like, then I've never voted that content is wonderful and awesome and life-changing. And Facebook sees that as, well, then you may like the page, but you must not think this is as important to see in your newsfeed because you never interact with it.
Okay, I'm going to give you my argument to that. So I'm subscribed to very few things in Google Reader. But the things that I'm subscribed to, I do care about. I chose myself to subscribe. Now, I will tell you that Seth Godin puts out a blog post every single day. Michael Hyatt puts out several blog posts every week. Dan Miller puts out several blog posts every week. Mashable puts out tons of, like, 30 some odd
right.
posts a day,
50 a day or so.
MacStories.net puts out sometimes 10 15 posts in a single day. Now, I'll tell you what, I actually look at an application that pulls in all of my news feeds from Google Reader every single day, and I look at the stories and I look at the titles, and there will be times where I may not actually click on a single blog post from, let's say, Dan Miller or Michael Hyatt or Seth Godin, or I may only click on one or maybe three of the 30 some odd Mashable stories. But here's what I do is every day I never fail to look at the titles of what they are. And so I liken that to saying, if I go to my newsfeed, I would never fail to go and look at the images or to look at a title or a caption or something like that might grab my attention. And if that's not there, then it's not going to. But occasionally, all of a sudden, Seth Godin will say something. It'll say something like, "Judge me or ignore me. You decide." Mm-hmm. And it's like, wow, I wonder what that is. And I click it. Now the thing is, I may not have actually read a single blog post of Seth Godin for 4.5 weeks, but all of a sudden now I'm reading it because that drew me in, and that may not have ever drew me in if all of a sudden, because of an algorithm, Google decided that you really never really click on anything from Seth Godin. Why should I bother showing this to you? And it's like, because you should bother showing it to me because I told you I want to subscribe to it. I want the content. And this is why I love Twitter. I love Twitter because, Eric, if I actually follow you, it doesn't matter if you put out 180 tweets an hour, which I don't think is possible because I think they have some limits.
There's a limit.
There is a limit. But if you put out 100 tweets per day, I would still get every single one of those tweets in my timeline. Every one of them, without fail. Now, I may be upset and say, wow, this is just a little bit too much. The fire hose is, and I may unfollow you and choose to put you on a list that instead says, you know what, I'll check this out when I really want to see what Eric's up to, or really talkative people and I'm really bored and it doesn't look like there's enough here for me to consume. But the thing is I'm subscribing to somebody because I want their content. And obviously Facebook has had this EdgeRank thing for quite some time, But now it's like all of a sudden now people can pay to actually get my attention. And I do. I think it does seem a little bit like the Mafia, you know. It's kind of like, you pay us a little money, we'll get you in a few more eyeballs. And it's not even everybody who liked me. So I understand advertising. I pay for people. I pay to interrupt them. You know, I don't know of a better way to say that, but that's what I'm doing. I'm paying to get people's attention because they fit a profile. The thing is I believe that as a Facebook fan page, you know, creator, which I'm not one because I use everything on my personal profile with subscriptions now. But if I was doing this, if I was creating this, I've already paid my dues by getting the attention and garnering the like of my community. And now all of a sudden they may or may not get updated on this major life-changing new announcement. And gosh, the thing is, and there's a screen capture of, you know, here's $5, you know, and what will $5 get you? This will get you approximately 20 people. What?
Oh, it's more, well, it could be 20 people, but if you're talking, it's going to be based on the amount of followers or the amount of likes that you have on the page.
Right.
So, well, let me make a rebuttal here, because you're talking about Twitter. And how, like, say if I tweeted as many as I was able to tweet in an hour,
yeah,
but you checked it 5 hours later,
yes,
you would never see any of those.
That's not true.
No, it's true.
No, it's not true.
Unless somebody retweets it, because unless you scroll all the way back, you won't see it.
And if I only follow 10 people, I will see it. And so for example, if I put...
Well, depending upon how many tweets those other people do.
That's true. But still, here's the deal. If I put you on... Let's just say right now I'm only following like 500 some odd people on Twitter now. But let's just say I have you on a list, which by the way, I do. I have a private list, and you're on a private list with no more than, let's say, 10 or 15 people on it. And it's called my private timeline. And it's like, you know what? These are the people I definitely want to see everything that's going on, you know, and if you happen to put 100 of them, you know what, I'm going to scroll down until I see the last one. You know, the thing is with Twitter, I can do that. With Facebook, I literally have to go to your page and read all of the stuff on your page. Whereas with a list, I can easily go to a list and say, you know what, here's 5, 10, 15, 20 people, and let me just scroll through until I'm sure that I've read everything that's going on in these people's lives, if I want to. I'm just saying that it's available to me, and this way, you have, as the content creator on Twitter, you know that all of that content is available in a timeline for people who are following you, should they choose to get it, without having to come to your profile to actually see it.
Right.
It's subscribable.
Yes. Now, but the thing is, trying to figure out where to go here. Basically, it's not so much, there's nothing that can be done about this, okay?
No, there's not.
The Facebook news feed is what it is. It reacts to how you vote by what you interact with.
Unless people pay otherwise.
Which, when you do that, it's not that they're charging you to be seen at all, because, to be quite honest, the pages that I work with in my day job, we're getting a really good return for what we do.
Right.
We're getting, let me go back to a statistic here that we've not mentioned yet. Facebook itself said that on average, and this is not dependent upon how many fans you have, because it's a percent, that you're getting about 16% of the people that will see it.
Right.
That will see a post, that will see your posts. And the reason behind that, and I can believe this, is because there have been things in my, like I went through through all the things that I have liked. I think it was back in January. And I looked through and I'm like, I've not seen any of this page that I've liked, any of their stuff come through. And I went and looked at their page and I saw that none of it was interesting. So I never would have, when I originally would have been seeing their stuff, would I have voted or interacted with it. And so gradually it just started to disappear. The same thing happens actually with people, with friends on Facebook as well. It's not just pages.
Well, and if Facebook believes in their algorithm so much, I mean, what's okay? So all of a sudden, for the last 60 days, I, as a Facebook page content creator, have put out crap as content. Nobody's clicked on it. Nobody's liked it. Nobody's anything. Edge rank is drop dead 0, no heartbeat. And all of a sudden it's like, you know what? I have some, and I think it's all gold. I think it is like, wow, this is precious metals here.
Right.
Everybody's loving this stuff. And all of a sudden I've got the king of the crud, and I'm going to post this thing, and by golly, I'm putting myself a budget of $500 on here. And that's still, as a content creator, that's still not going to guarantee that it goes to all of my followers. And not only that, but all of a sudden now Facebook's saying, you know what, we're keeping you, we're protecting you from all this stuff that you're not interested in, but this person's paid us to make you do this. So yeah, you're the guy who ended up liking the guy in the first place, but here you go. Here's his little note.
And to be honest, that's a very valid opinion.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are going to see it that way. What I would argue is they've not put out great stuff.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's the takeaway here is
if
you're not going to do promoted posts, if you want people to see your stuff on Facebook, then you need to be playing by the EdgeRank algorithm. And one of those top things is make your stuff awesome and people will engage with it.
Yeah, it's
hard, but
I totally
true.
see that side of the argument, but at the same time, it's very difficult to say, you know what, I've earned all of these people's attention. They have said I like it. They said I want the information. And now all of a sudden, because it is what it is, I'm only going to get so many people. But if I pay you more money, I get more of those people who already told me they want my stuff anyway. And it just seems a little weird. But I totally understand that this is the way it's always been.
Let me put it in podcasting terms.
All right.
Let me say somebody is subscribed to Podcast Answer Man.
Yep.
Okay. And they've listened, faithfully for years, and they continue to listen. But then gradually, they skip an episode. And not by any fault of yours. You're still putting out great stuff. But at some point here, they decide, I haven't listened to it in forever, and I guess I don't really miss it, and I just decide to unsubscribe.
Right. So that's the thing. The question is are you deciding to unsubscribe, or is the software unsubscribing for you? And iTunes used to have this, and they may still do it.
The granulated settings.
iTunes had a setting where if you haven't listened to, you've downloaded 5 episodes, or I don't know what the number was, but you downloaded X number of episodes and you haven't listened to any of them, and it continues to come in and just build up, and eventually they just stop sending you the new updates. And I think that's ridiculous as well. The fact is sometimes I'm 7 weeks behind on listening to Dan Miller's podcast. And all of a sudden I go on a 6-hour road trip, and guess what? I've just caught up on all 7 episodes. Or all of a sudden, I might be 7 episodes behind, and then this week's episode, I look at the title of the episode and it's like, wow, I totally got to check out and see what that's about.
Right.
And the fact that it's there, even though I haven't listened, because the thing is right. We're subscribed to a lot of content, in these news feeds and stuff like that, and it could be overwhelming. But there are other tools to monitor that. But here's the deal. I know Facebook's always done this. They've done this with their news feed since the earliest days. Remember, they used to say, we don't show you everything, but at least before they gave us this thought, you know what? Show me more of this and show me less of this, and they let us fine tune it. And I guess now they're assuming by our...
Well, they still let you do that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just not the same. But anyway, yeah, that's what it is. I still think that it's a little shady to charge me money to actually reach more people, because if you believed in your algorithm and the fact that your algorithm says, you know what, these people don't want you anyway, but pay us money and we'll force them to watch you anyway. It seems like a double-edged sword.
In a sense, it's almost like a remarketing campaign.
Yeah.
Where, at one point you opted in, but you haven't interacted in a long time. But if you as the content creator or the page owner decide you want to pay, we'll put you in front of those people again. And why I think it's a good thing is exactly that. Is if somebody forgot that you had great content and suddenly you create a really, really awesome piece of content and you post it on Facebook and it's going to be the cream of the crop, something that you've done and you're extremely proud of, I say promote that post. Here's why. Because potentially your audience, let me not just say potentially, it's a fact. Some of your audience is not engaging with it and hasn't for a long time. And this may be that thing that wins them back over. If they click like, or if they comment, or if they share it, they will have interacted with that brand page again and start to see more of it again.
Gotcha.
On a continual basis. So it's
kind of like paying it's kind of like paying iTunes to say, you know what, I know this person, there's people out there, they've downloaded 5 of my episodes and and they went and did not listen to them, so you haven't sent them the last 15 of my updates, but you know what, let me pay here, iTunes, let me give you $100. Would you please go and force another episode out to my subscribers, just because this one I think that they'll listen to.
Right.
And, I don't know. I just worry about this trend a little bit, I guess.
I can see why people would be concerned. I'll tell you, one of the things that I talked about with somebody that works with me on social media at the university where I'm working, when I first saw this, I thought, well, here's the thing. I want to do a test and see what comes up. I know we're already getting a 25 to 30% viewability on most pieces of our content since the live insights have rolled out for Facebook. And we thought, well, if we're going to do a pay to promote, what we need to do is make sure that whatever post we promote is really awesome, because we don't want somebody to have not seen us for a long time, suddenly see us and think, why am I subscribed to this? And then unfollow us.
Right.
You want the opposite effect of that. You actually want them to suddenly see, oh, wow, I had forgotten about this and think it's great. The added bonus here, and I'm thinking from a university perspective, of course, when you're interacting with friends and family on Facebook, you're connected to a lot of people are connected to people from different chapters in their life. For example, for me, I'm connected with a lot of college friends on there. Well, I know that there is probably a very large portion of people out there, for example, that do like the university's page, but have friends or college classmates from my college that have not liked the page yet. But if enough mutual friends all like that piece of content, it will actually be seen by people who don't like the page, who probably should because they're an alumni.
Right.
And so that's the other added bonus here, is that if enough of the people that do like the page and have gradually just not maybe seen any incentive to continue to interact with the brand, suddenly see something awesome from that brand and interact with it, it not only re-engages the audience, the existing audience, it can bring in some of the fringe audience that may have never noticed it before either.
Right. I just wonder if you followed the stuff that we gave in episode 247, if you followed that advice, if it wouldn't just have that same added benefit as well.
Oh, to be honest, I think it would. I think if you really are intentional about creating content that's going to hit on the pain points, so to speak, and fill a need or a service that the people that engaged with the content the page to begin with, that clicked like, if you're creating content that's going to either entertain them or fill a service, something that's going to meet their need, they will engage with it, as well as increase their affinity. I mean, we talked about this before when we talked about it then, was that there was a point where I wasn't seeing a lot of Cliff Ravenscraft in my Facebook newsfeed. And at some point I clicked like, and then I started to see more and more of you. Right. And from that point forward, I engaged, I commented, etc. So Now you're there every day.
Nice.
So it works the same way with brands. It's just a bit harder. And they have this opportunity that people do not.
Well, the one thing is that whatever you decide you feel about the Facebook paid to promote posts, it is what it is, and it's there. I don't think they're going to change it. And it certainly seems to be one way that Facebook can monetize, and I'm sure that they'll have some fun with it. And there seems to be some upside benefits to actually doing it. I just think that those should have been available just because we're bringing all of our a brand to Facebook. I think Facebook should be paying us to create amazing content that gets likes and all of that stuff. I just think it should be the other way around. Anyway, let's move on to a different topic. And Eric, I'm going to ask you to stay on and talk about BlogWorld NYC 2012.
Okay.
So here's the deal. We just got back. Last week was BlogWorld New York City, and it was, in my opinion, a huge success for the podcasting community. And I have my top 10 highlights that I've written down of the things that I loved most about BlogWorld. And before I get into my top 10 list, I would love to hear your reactions. Just right off the top of your head, what did you think about BlogWorld NYC?
I thought it was an amazing experience.
And why is that?
Well, I was probably about 3 or 4-fold. I was able to sit in on some great sessions, learned a lot of great stuff from those. Moreover, there were more sessions than you could ever have hoped to attend because there were at least 7 or 8 concurrently going on. So I definitely highly recommend the virtual ticket. Which lets you get all the audio recordings after the fact. I'm definitely looking forward to listening to the ones I couldn't attend and re-listening to some of them that I did. I just counted. There were 12 sessions going on at the same time at any one given hour during the conference. Yeah. Wow. So you can only attend one at a time unless you're somehow magical. But the content was amazing. The sessions were amazing. And there was always at least 2 or 3 that I would have been potentially interested in sitting in on. And that's not to say that even every session slot, I attended a session because, another added bonus, the people. I got to meet, for the first time, a lot of people that I had only met online, such as Andy Traub, Justin Lucas Savage, trying to think of many other people, some people from the Podcast Mastermind group that were there, as well as people that I had met before in person, like yourself. I mean, we've only met 6-7 times in person ever, but every time it gets better and better. And and Sophie Reinhardt, Daniel Lewis, a lot of people like that I just don't get to meet. Plus, I met lots of people for the first time ever that I had never met before. So that I got to meet Michael Hyatt in person. That was great. Scott Stratton on marketing on Twitter. I got to meet him, a couple other people. And so I just had a great time. So, Mark Malkoff and Christine Peel, got to meet them for the first time too. And so I got to really strengthen and create a lot of new relationships and networking. And that was awesome. Not to mention the location, New York City. I mean, come on, that was amazing. Right. So those are my off the top of my head things. I'm curious to see what you say. Well, I'll share mine. Here's what I've heard of. Obviously, everybody that I've talked to, overwhelmingly, they are so thrilled with their experience at BlogWorld. Now, obviously, there are several things that they say, well, this could have been done differently. This could have been better. There are things that could have been added. And I'm going to take a lot of that feedback and take it back to the staff of BlogWorld, and we're going to make future events even that much better. But, there were very few complaints, and any complaints that did came in from people who said, overall, this was an amazing experience. But, I've heard a couple people complain about some of maybe the content of the keynote wasn't necessarily their style. And, I being one of them, I
I kind of stayed away from the one that warned of explicit language. Last year, it did some things that had some things that personally I'm not easily offended, but I actually walked out last year when they did something that just didn't seem professional to me in a professional setting. I won't go into details, but it wasn't fun. And so I ended up leaving. So I made a point myself to make sure that, I did some other things that would make my BlogWorld experience out of this world. And I guess I could have warned a couple of folks that I would have assumed, but I thought that they would read the thing that says, hey, warning, adult humor, adult content, adult language. And it seems that everybody who complained about that session, I don't know anybody that actually said, yeah, I did see that warning. So, a little bit of that, but here's, I'm going to share my top 10 things that I remember that I came away from BlogWorld with. And, okay. and this is, and many of these things you're going to think, well, that has nothing to do with BlogWorld. That has nothing to do with this conference. You could have had all of that no matter what, because, that's just New York City stuff. So, for example, my out of my top 10, I'm going to start going to my number one thing, being the last one. But we'll start off with number 10. I got to visit Sirius XM Satellite Radio Studios. So it was up on the 37th floor, right in a building right across from Radio City. I was literally down the hall from where the Howard Stern show is. And I was there as a guest with Father Roderick, friends of ours who started out in the world of podcasting, but ended up getting a full-time gig doing a 3-hour-a-day, 5-day-a-week radio show called The Catholics Next Door on the Catholic channel for Sirius XM Radio. They invited us to come up and join them via, remote connection, because they actually record their show in Georgia, and they actually use a DSL connection to get, not a DSL, an ISDN connection to get their audio into the studios. But we were literally in the studios of XM Satellite Radio. So that was fun. I enjoyed that. Again, BlogWorld didn't set that up for me, but because of relationships that I have, there was an opportunity that was made available to me, and it was a highlight of my BlogWorld experience. And here's why I can say that is because had I not been in New York City for BlogWorld, that experience would have not been made possible. So that's my number 10. Number 9, visiting B&H Photo. Did you get a chance to go to the store?
I did. It was awesome.
Tell folks your experience. What is B&H Photo to you now that you've seen the store?
I've seen the website and I've seen catalogs, but until you actually visit the actual store, which has tons of just geeky, awesome tech, prosumer, as well as not prosumer. What's the other one? Consumer and professional. That's the word, professional. Audio and video equipment, and just anything you can think of.
Yeah, and
man, blew me away.
It
could have spent hours there.
And Father Roderick and I went, and we did. We spent hours there. It was out of this world. In fact, there were several pieces of equipment that I didn't even know existed. And I'm like taking pictures with my iPhone. It's like, yep, I'm going to get one of those. Yep, I'm going to get one of those. Yep, I'm going to get one of those. And again, you might think, well, what's this have to do with BlogWorld? It was, I'm telling you, if you're a geek and you're a content creator, it's really cool to go to a store where they have the geekiest of content creator hardware, and you can literally put your hands on it and touch it and look at the connections in the back of it versus just looking at it on a website. So for me, that was my number 9 highlight of my BlogWorld experience, was getting to visit and spend a couple hours at B&H Photo. Number 8 was seeing Phantom of the Opera for my 7th time. Only it was my first time of seeing Phantom of the Opera on Broadway.
Wow.
The longest running show ever in history on Broadway. And Father Roderick and I were out browsing the city on Friday. We both decided to stay an extra day and a half in New York City. And as a result of that, we made a lot of other opportunities available to us. And so one of them was that I said, hey, have you ever seen Phantom of the Opera? And he says, I've never seen any musical. I'm like, dude, we're so going to see Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. And it was like 2 hours before the show. We went up to the little ticket office underneath the on Times Square. And I said, is it possible to get 2 tickets for Phantom? And they said, absolutely. And which is amazing because when we got there, I mean, it was almost completely sold out by the time the show started. But so we got to see that. That was out of this world awesome. I love that play. And seeing it on Broadway, I guess just is... and matter of fact, by the way, it was my first Broadway show. It is the first time I've ever seen a Broadway show. And so that is very much a part of my BlogWorld experience. I would not have gone there and experienced that had I not been in that city. Number 7 is seeing Jimmy Fallon's show live. I was in the live studio audience. In fact, I brought Father Roderick along with me on that, and also John Dumas, one of my podcast mastermind members. This was actually your idea, wasn't it, Eric?
Yes.
It was so funny. Eric emailed me. He says, "Cliff, wouldn't it be great if we could see Jimmy Fallon?" And I emailed him back. I said, "Let me get to work on that." And so I sent a couple emails and stuff like that back and forth. And I said, "Hey, Eric, guess what? I've got tickets to Fallon." And you're like, "Really? On Friday?" "Oh, I just booked my tickets and I'm flying out before that."
Yeah.
But anyway, Jimmy Fallon show. And what I loved about this experience, and this is number 7 on my list. I went there, and I'm a huge Jimmy Fallon fan. I am. I love that show. It's the only late night television show I've ever DVR'd in my life. And I usually watch at least 15 to 20 minutes of every episode, or at least 3 or 4 episodes a week. And love it. We went on a Friday night, so they did the thank you notes, which is totally awesome. Ben Stiller was there. He's a cool guy. And they did an actual skit with Ben Stiller, which was really neat to see them set up the stage. It was cool to see how small this stage was. It was cool to see the lighting. It was cool to see how they did the cue cards. And it was cool to see how they did the cameras and all of that. And I am not kidding you, Eric. I'm sitting there in the studio mesmerized. And all of a sudden, there's this seed of a dream planted deep within my soul. One day, I want to do a late night television show for the internet. I want to do a late night show, just similar to that format. I want to actually have a studio where I have the little platform with a desk on it, with the chair and couch. I want to have the city backdrop on the screen, behind me, the lighting, perhaps even a live band. I mean, I'm telling you, big dreams here. And this all it's like, wow. And the one thing that I sit there and I looked at all the people that were there to do what they did. And I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? I know why they use all of these people to do what they're doing, but this could be done with, and honestly, this could be done with about 4 or 5 people. And I could do this. This could be real. And so I went there just for the pure entertainment value. And I came away with a new dream for content creation in the future for GSPN.
That's very exciting.
It is.
Hey, I just want to say publicly, when you're ready to do that, let me know, because that's been a dream of mine for forever.
Yeah.
So
it's a couple years out, but it is. And what I saw is just how small that space was and how they did it. And I'm like, dude, it totally demystified. It completely demystified the process. Mm-hmm. And it got me dreaming big time. And you know what? I consider that very much my BlogWorld experience. See, this is how, all of these things are a part of my BlogWorld experience. This is all about the conference to me because, again, I wouldn't have traveled just to New York City just to go and do Phantom or just to do Jimmy or even all of that. It's the conference that brought me there. In the same way, actually, my number one experience, I hope my number 2 experience for BlogWorld LA last year was the community meetup that I had at Victor Joe's, I think is what it was called, or something like that. But totally, absolutely, I would love to tell you guys that it was number 1. and stuff like that. But I'd be lying, because my number one BlogWorld LA experience last year was going to Petaluma, California, and meeting Leo Laporte and sitting on his studio, on his network live, and interviewing him, doing an episode of Podcast Answer Man.
Which again had nothing to do with BlogWorld, but the nearby location, and that it aligned with a pre-existing dream that you made into goals that were actionable, and you took advantage of the opportunity.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. And for me personally, my number 6 item was having Michael Hyatt come and speak on our super session. So that was amazing. Number 5, I ate at this place called Cat's Deli, or Delicatessen. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but I had never heard of it before. There's this movie though called When Harry Met Sally. I think it's Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan.
Yes. And
I just watched a YouTube video of the scene that was filmed there.
Did you have what she was having?
It was funny. But I totally get it. And I'm sitting there watching this, and you know what? I'm like, I was in the table right next to that. That was just it's like I passed that table. I know exactly what that is. It was so cool. And now I actually want to watch this movie. I've never been a fan of Billy Crystal ever. He has always annoyed me. I'm a huge fan of Meg Ryan. I never knew Meg Ryan ever had that much hair. And so now I'm totally going to get this movie, and I'm going to watch When Harry Met Sally. And it's going to help me even relive further this amazing New York City BlogWorld experience. But I have a special thank you to Jason Van Orden, who made this evening or this experience possible, because he invited me and a couple other great guys. I had dinner with Pat Flynn, Adam Baker, David Risley, Derek Halpern, Corbett Barr, and we just had this amazing night together, and that was just out of this world. And you know what? That honestly, I did that during the opening night keynote. So I missed the opening night keynote to have this experience. But I'll tell you what, I have BlogWorld and Jason Van Orden and these other guys to thank for this experience. You know, it was an amazing dinner with an amazing group of people. And I will tell you right now, what my business and what my brand, there is no numerical value I can put on a dinner with those people. You cannot. You couldn't pay enough money to have a dinner with that group of people, and it's a life-changing. You know, it's like the relationships that are formed in these kind of dinners. They're life-altering. They really are.
Oh yeah.
They will alter the course and the projection of your future, and that happened at Cat's Deli, and so. It was awesome. And Jason Van Orden, I know you're listening. Thank you so much for that awesome night. My number 4 experience, getting to meet podcasting celebrities. I actually got to meet Jay and Jack from the Lost podcast with Jay and Jack. And you know what? That's for me. I still have podcasting celebrities. Jay and Jack, they were probably either the 3rd or 4th podcast I ever subscribed to. And, they were certainly an inspiration, along with Ryan and Jen from the Transmission podcast about Lost. You know, these guys they are the first podcasters, some of the first podcasters I ever listened to. I had the honor of being able to invite them as speakers onto the podcasting track. But by golly, you better believe I had my picture taken with them. You know, it's like, heck yeah, this is so cool. So I got to meet them. My item number 3 of my highlight, getting to meet some co-hosts. You know, obviously you and I have connected several times, and I agree, Eric, it gets better every time. But I actually got to meet Andy Traub face to face. I mean, how many episodes? I think it was 109 episodes or maybe more of Business Tech Weekly. And Andy Traub and I got to meet each other face to face in BlogWorld in NYC. He's in South Dakota. I'm in Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati. That was amazing. And here's the deal. You know, the thing is I'm not kidding you. I literally saw him, and it was like, dude, it's like, I know you. We know each other. It was probably the weirdest feling of meeting somebody and feeling like, well, of course we know each other. You know,
right.
Of course. I almost felt like, dude, I remember the first time I saw him face to face, and we obviously went up and did we're almost handshake, but then we went for the big hug. It's like, but dude, I see you all the time. And I literally did not feel like that was the first time I ever saw Andy face to face.
Yeah.
It did not feel that way. Same exact thing. And item number 3 is meeting Andy Traub face to face, and also Tracy Trost. These co-hosts, these people that I've created content with. And as far as I'm concerned, if I've created content with you, man, you hold a special place in my heart, man, because this is awesome stuff. So I actually got to meet Tracy Trost face to face, and that was awesome as well. And
I was glad to get to meet Tracy as well.
So that's number 3, and included in number 3 is all the other people that you do know. Just like you said, you get to know these people online, and you meet them face to face for the first time, or you get to meet them again. And so number 3 is the face to face, but specifically some of those people I've created content with now. It's real life, physical handshake, hug, whatever relationship. Wow, this is awesome. Number 2 experience from BlogWorld is just the fact that, by golly, we had packed out podcasting track sessions. Whoa.
Standing room only.
54 podcasters agreed to say, Cliff, I believe you're absolutely on board with making this happen. I believe that this is doable, and yes, I will commit to coming to BlogWorld. 54 podcasters spoke in 24 sessions, and in those 24 sessions, there was an average of 40 to 50 people in each of the sessions. And by the way, some of the sessions had 90 or more people inside the room, or standing up, or sitting on the floor, or out the door, and it was awesome. And even in my own session, I looked in. I took a picture while I'm sitting in the session. It was I'm very thankful. I had a standing room only as well, which was very cool. But here's the deal: I took a picture while I was up there, and I'm looking out at this picture, after the fact, and I'm looking for the names of looking for people that I know, and even the people who've listened, and I could pull out about 8 people in the crowd. And the rest of the people in the crowd were all people I had never met before. And they were mostly podcasters mostly bloggers who had never really considered doing podcasting before. And now they're walking away saying, I've got to start a podcast. So for me, my number 2 was the fact that these podcasting tracks were packed, heavy attendance, and it was great. There was only 2 or 3 sessions that had a kind of a light turnout, but I think that had more to do with the description and or the content that maybe did not appeal to the audience that was at BlogWorld. But overall, gigantic, massive, major success for the podcasting community. BlogWorld rocked it, and the 54 speakers that were there rocked it. It was awesome, and I can't say enough. But I will tell you, my number 1 experience from BlogWorld was Wednesday night in the upper room of John's Pizzeria on Times Square, and right across from the Phantom of the Opera, the Majestic Theater. John's Pizzeria, amazing pizza, but even more than that, amazing people. 26 of the best people on the face of this planet were there. And we're talking 13 of those people were podcast mastermind members. And Eric, I believe you were there as well.
Yes, I was.
Father Roderick, and just tons of people. People from the GSPN community. I know Daniel Lewis was there, and Jason Van Orden came out, and just had this 26 people for dinner. And I don't know if you noticed this, Eric, but if you guys look at the pictures that I put on Facebook, which, by the way, I have them if you go to gspn.tv/BWENY photos. That's BlogWorld Expo New York photos. So BWENY photos. That's my BlogWorld album. If you look at the pictures, did you notice that there's not a single person looking at a cell phone? I don't think I saw a cell phone out, with the exception of 2 or 3 people whipped them out of their pocket to take a picture here and there. But nobody had their nose to the table or nose to a smartphone. It was literally engaging conversation from 7 o'clock in the evening till 10 o'clock in the evening. And this, I will tell you right now, Jimmy Fallon was awesome. Phantom of the Opera was awesome. The podcasting tracks were awesome. All of that stuff. Nothing could beat that night as far as BlogWorld. It was out of this world. And so those are my top 10 highlights from BlogWorld and New Media Expo NYC. And you can tell that over half of them, BlogWorld didn't create for me. The conference didn't create for me. Mm-hmm. Over half of them were outside of the planned scheduled events that's written in the little document. You make these events happen. And when you go to, for example, the next event is going to be New Media. By the way, they announced the new name, New Media Expo, and their prefix or their thing they're going. It's going to be NMX. So New Media X for Expo. I don't understand that, but anyway, New Media Expo NMX.
Well, they didn't want to go with NME for enemy.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Is that what they said?
I literally heard somebody say that.
Nice.
That was in charge.
Yes. So anyway, the next one, it's going to be New Media Expo or NMX Las Vegas. It's going to be January 6th, 7th, and 8th in 2013, Las Vegas, Nevada. And the rooms are going to be $99 a night, which is amazing. I know that many people will be happy. And the last day of New Media Expo 2013, the last day of the conference is the first day of CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. Hello. Guess who's staying a couple extra days? Yeah, you better believe it. Yeah. So I'm already going to be making plans to stay a couple extra days for New Media Expo and CES. And guess what else I'm going to do? I am already prepared to see if I can't set up some kind of way to meet Rick Dale from American Restoration. I'm already looking to see if I can't set up a time to go meet and potentially interview some of the folks from the, what is it called? The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop or whatever. But basically the guys from Pawn Stars. I'm going there. I am meeting people. Mm-hmm. I have clients who have very successful brands that are podcasting and stuff like that, who are very well connected. You better believe I'm going to get hooked up with some of the best shows. Some of the things that I'm going to see if I can't meet Daniel Negreanu, my a poker star celebrity in my mind. This is. I'm going to New Media Expo. The conference is going to be great. Yes, the session's going to be great. I'm sure the keynotes are going to be great. All that stuff's going to be great, but it's going to be the meeting the people, and it's going to be making experiences happen in the location where I'm at. So it's going to be a blast.
It will. I'm already committed to going.
Sweet.
I've already been working on a speaking idea.
Your speaking idea. That's cool. And by the way, they are they've
already opened it up.
They've already opened up the speaker sessions. And if you need information about that, I'll tell you what, if you go to podcastanswerman.com /264 podcastanswerman.com// 264, you will be able to see the link for submitting your talk to BlogWorld. And I'm going to pause right now so I can put that in my show notes. And we're back. All right. So, Eric, you have now joined us for an entire episode of Podcast Answer Man.
I feel honored.
It's awesome to have you here, my friend. It feels like the old social media Serenity days.
It does.
But hey, I do have a couple of announcements here. Real quickly, I've got to give you guys a resource that you can go check out over at marti.ca, or it might be Marcia. I don't know. But anyway, it's marti.ca. Go there right now, marti.ca. This is a link to a program called Comment Cast, and I have to give a shout out to Elsie Escobar, also a Podcast Mastermind member, who shared this as one of her as her resource of the month for June 2012. And this is an iTunes review downloading software. And oh my gosh, it's $5 Totally worth it. You fire this thing up for your Mac. It's Mac only, I'm sure. But anyway, you fire this up on your Mac. It opens up and you can search the store for your podcast, or actually anybody's podcast. Or if you have an application, anything that's in a store with reviews, you can search it all and you click. It's like, okay, add this. And now what it does is it actually goes in and totally downloads every review from the iTunes store. And not only does it do just your review for the store maybe that you're signed into, like for me, the United States, but it shows all of your reviews from every country. And it doesn't just show them, it downloads them. You can now I haven't played around with the exporting features, but from what I heard, I believe you can export as a CSV file. So if you want to do a spreadsheet with them, or I believe I heard that you can export to HTML. But anyway, this is awesome stuff. And I went in and I paid the $5. And by the way, it's really crazy. When you get your license after paying the $5, they'll send you a link, and you click this, and it's like this cc something file. And it took me forever to figure out, okay, how do I actually get this registered? You just double click that file and it'll say, thank you very much for registering, and boom, it's done. But it's called CommentCast. I had to tell you guys about it. Go check it out. You can download it, insert 1 or 2 shows in there. It'll download everything for free. You'll get to see how it's used and stuff like that. Very cool stuff. And then I think eventually it's going to ask you, hey, you like this? Pay $5 to make this go away or continue your trial. Awesome software for podcasters. Alrighty, I am going to play the music, and I still have 3 minutes and 30 seconds to share some other things, and this is where basically I pay the bills here. So a couple things I want to share with you. First and foremost, podcasting A to Z. Already 12 people signed up for my July course. It's going to be going starting on July 9th and will go all the way through August 3rd. 4 weeks of intense, get you started and launched with a successful podcast training. Basically, if you want full details, I encourage you to please go to podcastingatoz.com. Again, that's podcastingatoz.com. All of the information's there. If you have any questions at all, please email me, cliff@podcastanswerman.com. I will answer any questions related to that course that you need. I would love to get you there. My goal is to have 20 to 30 students, and I have no doubt that we'll get there. Even Michael Hyatt has recently blogged about it, so that's certainly gained a lot of interest. And if you're listening to this podcast, you can hear my voice right now, then use promo code PAM for Podcast Answer Man. You'll get $100 off of the cost of the course. Again, that's promo code PAM, and that lets me know that you are basically signing up because you heard about it here on Podcast Answer Man. Real quickly, also, just want to say that the Podcast Mastermind, you hear me talk about it a lot, and I continue to do so. It's my number one focus in my business. It's my number one focus in all that I'm doing right now. Podcastmastermind.com for more information. We are accepting new members. And then, of course, I also want to say that if you're looking for podcast artwork, the best person in the world to go to is my great friend, Jenny H. If you go to podcastanswerman.com/Jenny H, that's JENNYH, she will help you set up your great looking podcast artwork, or if you need a header for your site, she does amazing work. I happen to know that Hank Osborne from the Homeschool Support Network, Brandon Porter, Biblical Thinking Podcast, and Dan Mattson from over at Hooked on Wooden Boats are all in the process of getting some new artwork set up. Thank you very much to you guys, and for supporting Podcast Answer Man by getting your podcast artwork through Jenny H. Again, podcastanswerman.com/Jenny H. And then finally, one more big thanks to all of you who are using my Bluehost affiliate link when you sign up for hosting. If you want to find out more about Bluehost, I encourage you to read the entire post over at podcastanswerman.com/hosting. Again, that's podcastanswerman.com/hosting. Special thank you to the folks behind ChristopherBattles.net, Rabbi Moffic, MOFFIC.com, TheFreakyShow.com, the Gwen, GWEN, Peck, PEK, or PECK show, That's GwenPeckShow.com. And My Online Sax. And again, that's SAX.com. So ChristopherBattles.net, RabbiMoffitt.com, TheFreakyShow.com, GwenPeckShow.com, MyOnlineSax.com. Thank you all very much. I get a very generous commission when you use my affiliate code for Bluehost. Thank you. And Eric, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.